Okay, I'm going to hit broadcast. Go team. All right. Now broadcasting. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. We're just getting settled in.
Welcome, everybody. Leanne is hosting us. We should know Leanne Dowd from the illustrious Cal Shakes. Really appreciate them for putting this together. But this is a first for Cal Shakes. They've never done a webinar. So welcome to the inaugural production of that. So it's going to be like a learning experience for all of us, but I think we've all at some point, so we know how this goes. So yeah, I just want to say that we really appreciate them for putting this together because everyone's kind of in a new boat and figuring this out for the first time. I wanted to start by talking about the stigma sometimes that surrounds like unemployment and us filing for unemployment, especially as artists. We live in a country that doesn't really value art and doesn't really value artists. So for us, we're required to work as well as pursue our thing. And I think it's super important that we understand the value of what we do. And that we understand that we have permission to do this. You know what I mean? We have permission not only to pursue our art, but we also have permission to file unemployment when our employment is unstable or not there, because we work in a business where we work in chunks. You're working for 2 months and then you're off for a month, or you're off for 3 months. Or you don't really know where that next job is. And I've talked to a lot of people over the years who, including myself, let's be honest, who have had a problem filing because we're like, I don't we feel like we should be able to get a job or do something else, as well as pursue our art. And I just want to say that you have permission to do this. I know that we're in a very different world with coronavirus, so everyone is feeling a little more emboldened by that, and I really applaud that. But I hope that you understand this is something that is really necessary for your livelihood. So I just wanted to start with that piece. I hope that the connection's okay because my internet just said I have an unstable connection. But anyway, so I'm gonna start by talking about kind of the one of filing for unemployment for the first time, especially as a freelance artist. A big chunk of this for us is that you have to go back 18 months in your work history to and put in every single job that you've done for the last 18 months. So I don't know what way that you keep track of those things, for your tax purposes, for your, mostly taxes. So, but know that you have to have that work history available to share with EDD. I write everything down in my calendar. So I have all my work on my calendar. So I just kind of count back 18 months and then I look, I write down what jobs I've done. So, and that's another thing, right? Questions. You can ask them in the Q&A thingy. And also, at the end, we're gonna unmute people and take questions, I believe. So there's that. Is everything cool, Leanne? I'm just checking. Okay, great. So I'm gonna do something techie and share my screen. Kind of nervous about that. And we're just gonna watch the how to file unemployment video. And I'm gonna start, and give little tips and things like that or whatnot. So that's what we will do now as a beginning. Here we go. I'm gonna embiggen it and play.
Welcome to UI Online, a fast and convenient way to apply for unemployment insurance, UI benefits, and manage your UI claim. In this video, we'll show you how to file a new claim with UI Online, the first step to receiving your UI benefit payments. Once you've filed your claim, you can use UI Online at any time to request benefit payments, get your latest claim and payment information, and more. You'll even receive important notifications to help you keep your claim on track. So, let's begin with what you will need to complete your UI application. The process will be quicker if you gather all of this information before you start. You'll be asked for your personal information, including your name, birth date, mailing address, and social security number. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you'll need information from your employment authorization document. You will also need history for the last 18 months. This includes the names, addresses, and phone numbers for each employer you worked for during this time, as well as the total income earned from each employer and the reason why each job ended.
Okay, I'm going to pause here. So this 18-month history that I was referring to earlier, right? I'm going to have to name like a direct supervisor, which is kind of weird for us as people in theater mostly, because sometimes, I mean, really for us, it's the manager, but for other people, it might be someone else in a different capacity. So I usually put down a company manager or someone who I've had direct contact with in the office, or the resources person, or someone like that, because I know that those are the people who are dealing with these types of things. It's not, even if you put down a stage manager, it's not like vastly important. They're not necessarily calling these people and checking to verify your employment, because the other piece of this is that on the other end, all of your employers have already reported that you were with them. So if you, they've all reported that you've been working for them. So you don't necessarily have, if you're off maybe by a few dollars when you put the total income earned or whatnot, not too big a deal, but they usually are asking for the gross earnings, not what you take home. So there's that. But know that like that is also being reported on the other end. How you leave something out, that can be a big deal, but that actually is a big deal later on. Just make sure that you know who you're talking about. And in all honesty, I don't particularly I don't write down all of these things for all of my employers as I'm filing. I usually know who I'm talking about, and then I have to open another tab, and then I Google CT, and then I'm like, what's the phone number? Like, you know what I mean? Because why would I know that?
Hi, Safiya. This is Leanne.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question that's come in.
Sure.
Because I think it'll be helpful as we proceed. Valerie had asked about when you say jobs, talking about income to report to the EDD, do you mean W-2 jobs, 1099 jobs, or both?
All right. So what I mean is mostly W-2s. 1099s, you want to report as well. Why? Because now we don't really know what this new, which is something I was going to get to later, this new policies around unemployment, we're not super sure those 1099s. In the past, the 1099s aren't actually aggregated into your entire income. So it's really about your W-2s. But now they're saying that 1099s will be included. So now I would encourage you to definitely include those 1099 jobs as well. In the past, though, your W-2 jobs are the ones that pay unemployment insurance. 1099 jobs generally do not pay unemployment insurance. So therefore, if your last job was a 1099 job, that's not necessarily something that you're taking the claim out of. You're taking the claim out of your last W-2 job. So if you're filing now in this current environment, you definitely need to include your 1099s. I hope that helps. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll continue with the video.
Now that you've gathered the necessary information, here's how to file your UI claim. First, you will need to create a Benefit Programs online login. If you already have one from a previous insurance, disability insurance, or paid family leave claim, you do not need to create another one and can skip this step. If you're new to the EDD's online services, you'll need to create a Benefit Programs online login at www.edd.ca.gov/BPO. It's a fast and simple process. Just provide your personal email address, create a password, answer 4 security questions, and select your security image. You'll use this login to access UI Online and other EDD benefit systems. To file a new claim, log in to Benefit Programs Online using your email address and password you've established. Select UI Online and then File New Claim to get started. You will only see the File New Claim button if you need to file a new claim. Otherwise, you'll be navigated directly to your UI Online homepage, where you will find important claim information and notifications, such as when it's time to certify for benefits or reopen an existing claim. If you need to reopen an existing claim, the Reopen Your Claim button will appear. After you review the instructions page and agree to the terms and conditions, you'll be asked a series of questions to help the EDD determine your eligibility to receive UI benefits. To claim is filed quickly and accurately, you'll be asked some questions to help determine what type of claim is right for you. It also allows us necessary information to file your claim.
Okay, I'm going to pause here. So on this page, this is basically what you'll be filling out weekly once your claim goes forward. Understand that if you've worked a job in another state, right? What they do is they call that combined wages. So they combine whatever you worked in the other state to California, and they make your claim there. Sometimes if you've worked in another state, you might want to file in another state. Like I was just working at Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and everyone was like, you should file in Oregon, because I guess in Oregon, their top amount, their maximum unemployment is more than it is in California. However, their combined wages was less than it was in California, right? So they will do your combined wages, but usually there's a bit of a lag time because they have to call that state and make sure that that wage that you're reporting is actually accurate, is all. But it usually happens. I've never had a problem with it. The key to this page, at least the way that it was in the past, is that you have to say that you've been looking for work, because it's all about making sure that people aren't taking advantage of the system. So every 2 weeks when you're doing this, you have to say that you've been actively looking for work. They say that that's going to change, but I have not seen that that's going to change. And rather than interrupt your claim by not putting that part, I would just say, always say that you're looking for work, even if it's as much as you did a Google search or you went on Actors Access or Backstage.com or wherever and you looked for work somewhere. So even that counts as you've looked for work. Okay, that's what I want to say.
The next series of screens will ask you for your personal information, last employer, and employment history for the last 18 months. This system is very user-friendly, but if you need...
Also, I just wanted to point out that when you say your employer's mailing address, you want to do the address of the offices and not the theater, because I realize that we work in a business where sometimes the theater is one place and the office is somewhere else. Say, for instance, Cal Shakes, the theater's in Orinda, the office is in Berkeley, so you want to put the office. You want to put that Berkeley address.
UI Online has a built-in help feature to assist you in completing the required fields. Simply select the question mark icon or the help link in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. A progress bar at the top of each screen lets you know where you are at in the process at all times.
Another thing I want to point out is that the reason that you're no longer working for most of us is usually just going to be a lack of work. You're not going to usually find our category when you look under jobs. You know, sometimes I think as you're filing the claim, it says like what field do you work in? None of the jobs that we have are usually in that field. So I usually say other. And also, like, what you want to say is the reason that you're no longer working is a lack of work. Say, for instance, if this was times before and you had actually finished a show and it had closed, you can say lack of work, the show that I was in closed, or the TV show that I was in, has ended production, whatever it is.
If additional information is needed, the system will ask you clarifying questions to help avoid unnecessary follow-up phone interviews and payment delays. Once you fill in all required information, you'll have an opportunity to review or make changes to your answers before submitting your application. If you need more time to complete a screen or to verify your information, you can use the Save as Draft feature and return to the screen where you left off anytime before 8 p.m. Saturday of the week you started your application. If you return after this time, you'll need to start over.
Sunday is usually the day in which you'll get, once you file a claim, Sunday is the day that usually you'll get a email letting you know that you're eligible to certify for benefits for the next 2 weeks. That's how it works.
Have successfully submitted your UI application, a confirmation page will display, along with your confirmation number and helpful information about the UI program. We recommend that you print this page for future reference. So, what happens next? After you file, you'll be mailed information about the UI program and your claim. To request benefit payments, you must report your eligibility information to the EDD every 2 weeks. This process is known as certifying for benefits and can be done online, by phone, or by mail with the continued claim form.
You always want to do it online. Here's why. So every 2 weeks, you're also going to get mail. You're going to get a letter in the mail that essentially is the exact same document that you're getting online. Once you, as we saw in the beginning, how you report online, or the fact that you get that email that says, you're eligible to certify for benefits, you want to do that online. You're going to get a hand, paper in the mail that says the thingy. But here's the thing about that paper. It's really, really antiquated. And back in the day when actually you couldn't do it online, you had to use the paper. You would fill it out, and there's these odd brackets, and you had to put the bar between the brackets. But if you were off by a little smidgen, you wouldn't get benefits or something like that, because it was they used to have people actually going through those papers and making sure that people filled them out, and then they went to computers or machines, I don't know, and that made the whole system just so much harder. So you really want to do this online just because it's such a more user-friendly service, and you can just click the button and you've clicked it and you don't have to worry about it. This is I'm kind of talking from the past here a bit, because this is just something that I experienced in the past. But just in case you're tempted to go oh, I just got this in the mail, let me just fill it out and send it in, I would just recommend not doing that, because it can just hiccup and get in the way of the flow of your benefits. And I think you're in a time that you need your benefits. Another thing I wanted to point out is that if you've worked in a week, actually, I'll say that later.
Certifying benefits with UI Online is the fastest and most convenient way to claim forms and receive your eligible benefit payments sooner than mailing in the paper forms. As an added convenience, UI Online users automatically receive email reminders when it's time to request their next benefit payment. Since you must certify for benefits every 2 weeks, we highly encourage you to use UI Online to get paid faster and avoid payment delays. Remember, it's your responsibility to certify for benefits every 2 weeks. Be able and available to work and actively seek employment for each week you wish to request benefit payments. It's also your responsibility to follow all rules related to receiving UI benefits. Be sure to read and respond to all requests to avoid payment delays, penalties, or disqualifications.
You do want to open all of the mail, though. I'm not saying don't open it. I'm saying that when you get the thing in the mail that's basically a weekly claim, that's not something that you need to do if you do it online. But you do need to open all the mail, because you'll get other kinds of notifications through the mail. You won't get those things through email. And I'll talk a little about that later.
We hope you found this video helpful. and invite you to learn more about UI Online at www.edd.ca.gov/UI_online.
All right, awesome sauce. So as I was saying, as the claim goes forward, well, I'll start here. So the beauty of filing now, if you're filing a new claim, is that there's no waiting week. There used to be a waiting week. So say you were done with a job. This is how I, first knew about filing for unemployment. I'm a show closed. I'm hanging out with somebody and they mention it and I'm like, what? And I was like, we can't do that. And they're like, yeah, you can. Like you've been working and you're not about to not be working. Even if it's for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, you're eligible for unemployment. And it used to be that there was a waiting week. So you would try and file right away because you would not get benefits for 1 week. I don't know what the reasons behind that is, but that's what it was. So because of that, you would really want to file right away because you wanted to make sure that you had that waiting week out of the way. But now there's no waiting week because of coronavirus, because people have lost so much work, because our industry has completely been devastated. There is no waiting week. So that means that you can, once you file, you're going to get benefits for that first week that you haven't worked, which is awesome. In terms of what I was saying about your claim going forward. So once you filed the new claim, you're going to get a lot of different envelopes in the mail. Open them all, look them over. Some of them are just going to be, this is a letter saying you filed for unemployment. Some are going to be letters, as I said, with kind of like the survey thingy so that you can actually like do the unemployment. But read all of them, know what they are, because if there's any questions on their end, they're going to communicate that with you through the mail. So you might get a letter saying that you have a phone appointment on this day at this time. That phone appointment is non-negotiable, and you don't want to have to call unemployment and try and rearrange it. So whatever you are planning to do that day at that time, even if you are working or busy, you need to say, hey, at this time, I'm going to get a phone call and I have to take it. Because the thing is that the unemployment office is so overwhelmed, especially right now. They've always been like that though, but they don't have time to schedule these calls. And a lot of times it's just clarifying calls. And usually that letter will say why they're calling. We just want to verify that you worked for blah, blah, blah at blah, blah, blah. We just want to make sure that this 1099 information is correct. Whatever it is, they're going to call you about it. And you need to make sure that you take that call. If another thing going forward, say you months down the line, you filed your claim, you're getting your weekly payments. And one of those weeks, someone offers you work. And so you end up working. You can still file for unemployment, especially dependent on how much money that job is paying you. If someone is giving you $50 to do something and your unemployment claim, you get $300 a week, you can still file for unemployment because you're only getting $50. So even sometimes if you maybe in the past have been involved in a show where you're getting, depending on the contract, like $100 or $200 a week, but your unemployment benefits are the max, they're $450, you can still actually file for unemployment while you're doing that show because what you're making is still less than what the unemployment benefits would be. When it comes to the questions, there is going to be a question about if you are self-employed. Now, you are not self-employed. If you have a business, though, like some of us do, I don't, but some of us do, you are self-employed. So I think it's really about kind of figuring out how much W-2 information you have versus 1099 information. But I would usually go with I'm not self-employed just because that opens up an entire new can of worms that I don't know anything about because I've never done it. So you talk to someone else. What else did I want to say? So going forward, as you're getting those claims each week, one of the important things is to make sure that you file as soon as possible. So when you get that email or whatever on Sunday, I would say do it that Sunday. And like I said, if you've worked, even sometimes if you've worked and you've made, say, more than whatever your max amount is, right? In California, the max amount is between $40, the range is $40 to $450. So say you've made, you'll get a letter saying what your claim reward is. It'll say like, based on what you told us, we're going to give you this much a week. Based on what you told us, we're going to give you this much a week. And when you get that letter, even if you make more than whatever that amount is, like say it's $300, say you make more than that, but the next week you're not working, you can still claim for that week. And then there'll be a place where you can say, I worked, and you can say how much you made. And then the letter that you'll get in the mail will just say, you're not eligible for this week because you earned too much. Great. What I will say is that do report all income, though, going forward, because what can happen is an overpayment. And if you are in that situation, then there's a penalty. So say you've been collecting unemployment for a few months, you work a job that is a 1099 or something small, or you're not really thinking about it, you're like, meh, 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 and you don't think you need to report it because you're like, well, that's not really a thing. What can happen is months down the line, you will get a letter saying, did you work for so-and-so on this week? And then you'll go back and you go, oh yeah. And then if you were rewarded benefits that week and you worked that week, but you didn't claim that work, they will not only require you to pay back those benefits, but then there'll be a penalty on top of that. And that's like annoying and really not okay. So always report everything, especially 1099s. If you were a New York resident, I just found this out from a friend. In New York, if you have residuals from a TV show or a commercial, those don't count towards your unemployment. So you can totally work, you can totally get a residual payment of like thousands of dollars, but you don't have to claim that on your unemployment. In California, if you get a residual payment, you cannot, you still have, you have to basically, if depending on the amount, stop filing, or you definitely have to report that amount because that is definitely counted. Again, I wonder how these things will change with the changing rules and the changing landscape, but this is information that not even, I don't think they know yet how it's going to affect us here really. But I just want to talk about a few of the things like that that can kind of come up going down the line. You might get a letter that says, for instance, well, there used to be, this is something that, you know, I kind of spoke to before in terms of looking for work, right? It used to be sometimes depending on, I don't know how they determined this, but you would get a letter saying like, you have to go to this like job seminar, and you would have to, you would have to sign up for Cal Jobs. Cal Jobs is a website that you can sign up for where you're basically saying, these are my skills, this is what I'm eligible to do, da, 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 da. And you usually have to go to an unemployment office to do this, to open up a Cal Jobs account. And if you didn't have a Cal Jobs account, you couldn't get unemployment because the Cal Jobs account was basically saying like, I'm eligible worker, I am actively looking for work. So, and then sometimes, I don't know how they determined this, but you would get a letter saying like, you have to go to this job seminar at this time in this place, right? Or sometimes you'd have a choice of times and places. And then if you didn't go to that seminar, you would be ineligible for benefits. Because, you know, the way this, and these are my opinions, but the way this country works and the way things are, it's kind of, you know, they punish you kind of for being poor. So it's like, you know, like they just want to make sure that you are actively looking for work at every turn. Even if you have been looking for work, or even if you're like trying to do that, you would still have to kind of go to these meetings sometimes and then say like, I went to this meeting, and you have to stay through the whole thing, and then the person would sign you off, unless you had a job interview, unless you had an actual work. You could say like, I can't go because I actually have work that day. I will be working blah, 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 blah. And then you can make sure that you report that though, because then they would see that. So again, this is to say, I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but like, I am not like an expert. I don't work for EDD. I am a person who has had experience filing for unemployment and hopefully a friendly face. And that's the whole point of me being the person who gives you these tips and things. So, but these are the things that can kind of happen going forward. I don't know if they're still going to do the Cal Jobs thing. I don't know if they're still going to make you go to some job seminar when there's really like no jobs. So I don't think that that's an issue, but I just want to alert you because these are things that sometimes we can ignore or not take seriously or be like, oh, it's going to be fine. And you really want to take it seriously, especially if, say you have a job coming up. And sometimes you do. Sometimes it will ask you at some point during the application, do you know when you will return to work? And sometimes you know when you'll return to work. You're like, oh no, I know I have a job on this date and it's going to start. Great. But if you don't know when you're going to return to work, then you can just put, I have no idea when I'm going to return to work. But there's a lot of different things that can happen while you're navigating this space, wherein they're trying to make sure that people are looking for work actively, and they're trying to make sure that no one is taking advantage of the system. So this is why those kinds of measures are really in place. So understand that there's a lot of like little loopholes that you can accidentally fall into. And sometimes if you get that phone interview and the person that you get is like not nice, you can end up like having more issues because the person, you know, oftentimes, especially now, I'm sure the system is down or the system has like planned maintenance on a Sunday. And you're like, it's Sunday. Like, you know, I just got the thingy saying that I can certify for benefits and the system's down, or there's planned maintenance on Sunday and Monday. So then maybe you can't get on until Tuesday. And then they're like, well, you were supposed to do this thing on Sunday. I mean, this isn't how it works, but I'm just saying this is like a hypothetical. You were supposed to do this thing. And then you're like, but I couldn't because of this thing. And then you could end up, you know, they could end up saying you're not eligible anymore for these benefits. And then you're like, what? So you have to go through a whole rigmarole of appealing and things like this. And I just want to avoid all of those things for you guys because it's just not fun. And also, especially now, like any lost time, not having income is like really hurts your heart. Like, because we don't know if we don't have to pay rent or bills or things like that. As far as we know, that's still what's happening. So, so those are just some things that I want to say about work going forward. I may have said everything that I was going to say, and I think we can have questions if that's okay. So this question is, what about if you anticipate needing to shift your employment amount in the future? For instance, my hours have been reduced to part-time due to COVID-19, but I anticipate those hours being reduced to 0 in the next couple of months. Is it possible to apply at one rate, then to apply for a different higher rate? Interesting question. I get it. So here's the thing. Whatever amount you get is always based on past employment. So if you're been reduced and you're working part-time, you can apply. Oh, I get it. Because you're applying and then here's what you can do. You can apply and your total benefit amount should not be affected by your part-time work, I think. But I would encourage you, unfortunately, I hate saying this, to call and ask because I'm sure it's a bitch right now.
But what I think I left out, Safiya, too. Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What I should have also said earlier is that this is one of 2 calls happening this week.
Yes.
So there's going to be another call this coming Friday at 2:00. And the registration for that's going to stay live until Friday. That's going to be with Amy Mueller, as well as CalShakes' HR consultant, Nira Gunn. And in that call, They'll be getting deeper into some of the specific questions I think that we're talking about right now, as well as new benefits and rules through the stimulus package. So that's one, that's happening. Because a lot of these questions are starting to get really specific, which is great. I'm glad we're going through them. But Safiya or those of us on this call may not have the expertise to answer them. Our hope is that we can share those questions with Neera and follow back up with people and be like, let's broaden the people answering these questions. So even if your question can't get answered in this call, don't worry. Like, we are hopeful that there will be more opportunities to get that information out there.
Yeah.
Check.
And so, no, thank you. And thank you for that. So I would say, though, to this question, if your hours have been reduced, but you're still working, so you want to apply because, say, like you're making only $200 a week or something that you cannot live off of, right? What you might be able to do is apply as if, and this is just my opinion because I think that this might work, but I'm not sure. But I think what you can do is you can file a new claim as if you're not working that job anymore. So that way you have your total benefit amount. And then as you go forward with a claim, you always claim that work that you're doing. So as you go forward with the claim, you say, I've worked this, I made this much money this week, I made this much money this week, which means that your claim will still be reduced. And then that way, once you go to zero, you should be getting that whole amount. I think that's kind of how I would maybe do it if I were in your situation, is I would try to find a way to figure that out. Because if you can survive off of the reduced hours, then I would just do that until you have no hours, right? But the important thing is that it's always based on past employment. So you don't have to worry too much about what you're doing now, as long as you make sure that you report everything that you're earning right now. I hope that helps.
I think we should jump to this question. If you know what the process will be for inputting future promised work. So work that has not yet begun or a contract has not yet started, how to reflect that. Do you know?
You can't reflect on unemployment.
Okay.
So if you know, like in 6 months you're going to make $100,000, it doesn't matter. Like it's about what you're doing now, and it's about what you've done in the past. That's it. So it's about this moment and then the past, and that is how it's calculated. So anything that you know you're going to be doing, you can put. I know my work start date, that you can put, but nothing that you're going to make in the future is ever going to count towards your unemployment now, because it's always about what you're making now. If you've continued, someone says, I continue to work as a teaching artist on Zoom with several institutions, how will that affect my employment? As I said, if you're working at all and collecting money, just make sure that you report it. Every week when you do your unemployment, it says, did you work this week? And you can click yes. And then you can do your work earnings reports, which means you can say, yes, you put in the employer, you put what you worked, you put how much you made. That way you don't disrupt your claim, but you definitely want to say that you worked. So it will affect your unemployment, because if you've worked and made any amount of money, it will affect your unemployment. If you're making something even past whatever the top of unemployment is, which I think is $450, you won't get any unemployment that week. If you're making a little less, you might get a little bit, but you definitely just have to report that income. That's very important. Can you apply for EBT at the same time as UI? Yes, is the answer to that. Meaning food assistance or food stamps, can definitely apply for that while you're on unemployment insurance. I don't know about applying for that, but I know that you can definitely apply for that. Okay, I've only worked out of state for the past 18 months in 8 other states. Wow. And have only earned money on 1099s, no W-2s. Very little California income. I still apply for California, but wondering if they're decided into if I should apply in any other states, or how this all goes down without you twos. This is such a good question. So what I would do actually is whatever state I worked in the most, I would try and apply in that state. and do the combined wages in that state. The rub is every state has their own rules. So it just kind of makes it a pain because I remember I worked in Connecticut one year and I was like, you should apply in Connecticut. And I was like, Connecticut has its own rules. And then I have to figure out Connecticut. And I don't want to figure out Connecticut, even if it's going to be more. And like I said in the past, like if your combined wages might be more in California than it is in Connecticut, right? However, if you're a resident of California and you live here and this is your main address, they can aggregate all dates. So there really isn't a problem. The 1099 question is that you just want to be applying more as an independent contractor and not as a person who is employed actually. So what you want to do actually, and there's a video that unemployment insurance has about applying as a business owner, and that's something that you should watch because it'll give you more details about that. But you definitely want to. I'm glad that you still applied, and I think you can definitely still apply in California. But I think you actually do want to apply as a person who works, who's a 1099 person, because you don't have any W-2s. And so therefore you don't have anyone paying that unemployment insurance that you can kind of grab. So therefore it's going to work different. But fortunately, hopefully due to the new rules, like that income won't mean that you'll get like pennies. It means that you'll get hopefully something really substantial. Do you suggest the EDD debit card or checks? Debit card seems faster, but also like I wouldn't have the option to be able to deposit that money into any savings. If you get the EDD debit card, you are able to actually transfer that money into your bank account for free. So this is something I didn't talk about, and thank you for bringing this up. When you are awarded benefits, usually you get an EDD debit card. Do they do checks? I don't know that they do checks. Anyway, you usually get an EDD debit card. That EDD debit card is connected to a website, which is like not Bank of America, but kind of Bank of America. It's a little confusing if you have a Bank of America account. Trust me. So make sure you go to EDD, Bank of America, blah, 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 blah. You go there, you log in, everything. You can actually connect your bank account and you can transfer your unemployment to your bank account and put it in whatever account that you would like to put in, including your savings. So you don't even have to use your physical card if you don't want to. So that's kind of important to know because that physical card is only a debit card. And say you want to, I don't know, make other kinds of payments off of it that don't take debit card, you can transfer that money into your bank account and there's a fee for that. So there you go.
Yeah, can we jump to a question that's more towards the end, but I think it's a foundational one. This question that says, it sounds like if you make more than $450 a week, that means you're not going to get any EDD benefits since that's the max. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so you mean if you currently make any more than $450?
I believe so.
Yeah, if you currently make more than $450, you're not going to get benefits. That's very true. So, even if like, say your lifestyle is such that you're used to living at more of $1,000 a week lifestyle, and you're making $500 a week, unfortunately, I don't think that collect benefits. However, again, join the Friday call because this may have changed. They may be making some concessions for that. Mm-hmm. But essentially, like, that is the way the rules have been. And usually if you're working, at these at any of these top tier theaters in the Bay Area, you would never be applying for unemployment because they all pay you more than what unemployment would be. So that's true. Thank you for asking that.
Do you know if we need to file unemployment through the state and the national government?
No, unemployment is state by state. Unemployment is always state by state. So what's going to happen nationally will affect the states, but unemployment is a state-run thing, and every single state has different rules. So apparently this $1,200 stimulus that we might all be getting works exactly like a tax return would get. When you get your tax returns, you don't have to, which hopefully will be soon, you don't have to say, you don't have to claim that as income. That is your tax return. That doesn't count. And so the same thing is supposed to be the case for this stimulus that we're reportedly all getting. So if you are getting a stimulus, you don't have to claim that. You don't have to claim that. So there's that. If we have a registered business, can we say we are not self-employed? No. If we have a registered business, can we say we are not self-employed and just report any 1099s we get without being penalized? If you have a business that's registered, I don't know, but I wouldn't play with it because it's just, everything has been reported or is being reported. So, I mean, it depends. Like if your registered business is like up and popping and you're actually making money off of it, but if it's not up and making money and stuff, too, but I don't feel comfortable saying yeah or nay on that, unfortunately, because I think that's kind of your call, but you know where your business is and where it lies. Should I be listing auditions that I attend? Absolutely. Every audition that you do is you looking for work. If you have done a self-tape, if you have even like looked on a castings website, you are looking for work, period. So know that the work that you are looking for is just a different kind of work, but you are looking for work. A lot of questions about out of state. I too have worked out of state and have to fill out the PDF version of the form. While I do have start end dates, I've been paid in full at the end or and not on a weekly, monthly, hourly basis. Oh, okay, I get it. So when you have a stipend, basically, this is about like if you get a chunk, right? If you have a chunk that you've been paid, what the EDD recommends is that you that chunk down into days, into weeks, into days, into hours, and then you report that as ongoing income, right? So if you've been paid $3,000, you break that down into 30 days, and then you break it down into how many hours that would be, and then that's how you would report that. On all the unemployment claims, it's going to say hourly was, and I usually just take whatever the total is that I've made, break that down into hours, and I usually say like 30 hours a week because the hours that we work are so freaking all over the place. Like some weeks it's 60. So, we don't necessarily make an hourly wage, right? So what you want to do with that big chunk is you want to break that down and then report that. And that's how that's going to work. Can you qualify for unemployment if you still have one gig that doesn't pay all your bills, but all the others were canceled? What is the max income you can make and still qualify? You can definitely still qualify for unemployment, and you should definitely apply for unemployment because even if you have a gig that pays a little bit, you can still apply. And I would just apply to see what they say that you can make and then just figure out and go from there. But you can definitely still apply, and I would definitely still apply because it's one gig,
That's a good piggyback off of that is the last question in the queue, Safiya, about like timeline. So this person asked, the last check I received from the theater was Thursday the 26th and accounted for a 2-week pay period. Do I have to wait until next Thursday, April 9th to apply, or can I apply now, not expecting to receive any more income?
That's a great question. You want to apply right now because the job is over. So the interesting thing is that once the job is ended, you want to apply. So if the job ended on 3/26, you can apply on 3/26 rather than waiting until 4/9. Now, are you saying though that do I have to wait until next Thursday to apply? Does this mean that you're going to get 2 more weeks or that you don't have 2 more weeks? That's my one kind of question. If you're going to get 2 more weeks of payment, then you should wait till 4/9 to apply. If you're not going to get 2 more weeks of payment and 3/26 was the last day, then you would apply 3/26. Sometimes it'll say, what's the last day worked? And for us, because we often work on Sundays, They don't want Sunday because Sunday is usually the start of their next week, but it's sometimes the end of our last week. So our show closes on Sunday, but they're like, that's the next week. That's not this week. So sometimes you just have to say that your last day was the Saturday or a different day, because that is what the system will understand. As long as you have reported that income, it is totally fine. As long as you didn't lie and say that you didn't make the money that you made, you're fine. So even if you're off by a day, it's totally fine. So just know that. But you definitely want to apply when the job is over, because that is, like, for instance, right now, a lot of us who had shows that are canceled, we've gotten like 2 more weeks of pay, right? So what do? You're like, well, my last day of rehearsal was the 16th or whatever, but they said they're going to give me 2 more weeks of pay. So I still made the claim on the 16th. And then the next weeks, I just said, like, I got money. And then I got letters saying that, like, you're not going to get anything because you made money, which is fine. But I wanted to make sure that I started it because I didn't want to have the hiccups down the line. Do you need to report babysitting, grocery deliveries, cash, payment type of work? That is up to you. That is up to you. I don't feel comfortable saying like yes or no, but if it's under the table work, it is totally up to you whether or not you claim that or not. Because that is not employment that is reported. The things that are reported are 1099s and W-2s. So it is up to you that you report that work. But if you do feel like you're getting sufficiently compensated through those cash jobs, then I would not. That's my thing. I filed my claim yesterday, so now I am waiting for certified benefits. Can you tell me what exactly does it mean to certify benefits? And where do we prove our income for the last 18 months? Is that what certified benefits means? Okay, so if you've already filed your claim, certifying benefits just means something that you're going to do every 2 weeks. It just means that, say you filed an initial claim and then 2 weeks later you were working, then you don't have to certify benefits. But certifying benefits is just what they say for continuing your unemployment claim going forward. Because what you don't want to do is have a lag in the claim, really. So that's all that certifying benefits means. So in 2 weeks, you'll get a thing that says, like, you know, you're eligible to certify for benefits because it's been 2 weeks since your last thing. And then you'll fill out that thing and certify for benefits. You don't have to prove your income for the past 18 months. You just have to write it or, you know, type it into the system. And like I said, it should show up also on the other end. Again, when it comes to 1099s, that is something that they are still figuring out how to apply that, because in the past, 1099s did not count, but now it counts. So therefore, that is something that is changing. So I would definitely like include all that information, but know that, you know, as long as you claimed every single thing that you've made, you're fine, because it should show up on the other end. And this question is, I can answer it really quickly. I mean, is your weekly benefit based on the past 18 months or your most recent quarter? I'm still confused about how they'll decide what exactly to pay each week. They'll decide on an aggregate number of the past 18 months. And this is a thing that kind of gets to us because you really have no control over it. What can kind of happen sometimes is, like, say you just work a really lucrative job and like you're like, whoa, I just made so much money, my unemployment's going to be great. If that isn't in your window, that money does not count, which is really unfortunate, but that's just how it's been. That may change, but that is how it's been. So it really is the past 18 months. It's not your most recent job. One time I had just worked a really lucrative job and I thought, oh, my unemployment's going to be so great. And then it wasn't, because the past 18 months, I had barely worked. I had like a 1099, which they wanted, and I had other little tiny things, and I was like making like no money. And so, and you know, I wasn't getting a lot of unemployment insurance as well. It really is a aggregate number of that past 18 months, unfortunately. So again, maybe these rules can change, but we shall see. Okay. Is there any raised hands, Leanne?
I believe I'm not seeing any hands raised, and that is our list of questions that were dropped in the Q&A.
Cool.
Thank you everybody for asking those very good questions.
Yeah.
We're about at time, so just some housekeeping things. This call has been recorded, and we're going to work on making it available to folks who weren't able to join us today. And as I mentioned, there is also going to be another call similar to this one, but kind of diving into some of the new stuff. So people who are asking about all these 1099 questions we have, that might be a good call to join. If you can't join that one, we'll be recording it as well. And then following Friday, we're hoping to be able to kind of put together some links and answers to some of these FAQs and share them out with everybody who was on both calls. So that's some housekeeping stuff. Any last words from you?
That's really great. Those were really, really excellent questions. I just want to say, you all the thing about our work is it's so unique, and just and I think this is a time where we're all kind of realizing how little space has been left for us and what we do, right? Like what we do is very unique, and how we work is really unique, and there just hasn't traditionally been a lot of space for us. And so navigating these waters as a freelancer, as someone who works in, theater, or even in on camera work, or any type of freelance work, is just always a really, really unique thing, because the system hasn't really been made to support us. So understand that it's like, really release yourself from any feelings, and just any type of hesitations or feelings that you have around that, and know that this is like something that you're really, there's a reason why there's unemployment insurance. There's a reason why these systems are in place. If I've studied in Europe, and like, man, they get paid even if they're not working, as long as they prove that they, are pursuing a life in the art. The government just gives them a check because they are an artist. And so I think that's often why we admire that work so much, right? Because they have so much time to spend on it, and we're like rehearsing for 2 weeks and trying to make it work. So, I think that, so I really appreciate everyone for being here and asking such really, really great questions. And one of the beautiful things about this is I think it is encouraging, like, our government and everyone to like look at the freelance world as an actual like jobs that we have. Like, this isn't like some thing that we're pulling out of the sky. This is work that we're doing. And we do deserve to get access to unemployment insurance and these types of compensation and, disability pay and all of these things. Just because we work for ourselves doesn't mean we shouldn't be entitled to those things. So hopefully we will find out more Friday, and we'll also find out more going forward as far as like what this means, freelance artists. And hopefully, like, I've answered a lot of your questions. Also, just so you know, a lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to message me on the Facebooks, or if you have emails, or if you have my number, you want to text me, it's totally fine. My name is Safiya Fredricks. It's down there. Totally feel free to ask me questions. Someone told me the other day asking a question that was incredibly specific, and I am happy to answer these questions, because it's very hard to get someone on the phone to just ask a really important question, because what we do is really unique. And in all honesty, a lot of those people aren't really super trained as far as like, how we work and what we do as well. So it's really a good peer-to-peer thing to kind of have going. So thank you everybody for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Safiya. I know there's a lot of gratitude for you and all you've offered this hour. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you who are on this call. I'm gonna close it down and hope to see many of you on Friday. But please don't be strangers. Stay in touch with us. And we're thinking of all of you.
Thanks, guys. Bye. You're muted.
Wonderful. It's bound to happen once.